What phantom sounds echo throughout the bricks of this homestead?
Did a ghost really throw a candlestick across the room in this historical home?
Why does spectral mist seem to linger on the family burial ground?
Find out the answers to these questions and more as we uncover the historical hauntings and history from the Herkimer House in Little Falls, New York.
I'm Sarah.
And I'm Erica.
And this is The Haunted Atlas, a haunted U.S. podcast.
In the interest of fully exploring history of certain locations, the Haunted Atlas may discuss sensitive or disturbing topics. Listener discretion is advised.
Overlooking the Mohawk River, a Georgian-style brick building bordered by a stone wall welcomes visitors. This home is known for its historical and military significance, but locals and tourists alike believe the ghosts of soldiers roam Herkimer House's halls. This home dates back to 1764.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so we're going way back.
Yeah, before the Revolution even.
Yes. And it was constructed and owned by General Nicholas Herkimer. The general was most famous for his stand in 1777, when he and 800 militiamen defended Fort Stanwix. This was marked by a significant event in the Revolutionary War, and the battle on August 6, 1777 was an incredibly bloody one. Herkimer was actually wounded in that battle. His leg was wounded, but he still maintained command. He lasted throughout the rest of the battle and was then carried home. He died just 10 days later from complications from leg surgery.
Oh no.
Yeah.
I was kind of hoping that was going to end differently.
No. They had to amputate it, and I just feel like in the 1700s, amputations were a death sentence.
Yeah.
I'm sure not in every single case, but if you look at the statistics, it can't be good.
Right. I mean, especially if the amputation happened, assumedly, like right as he got there. I mean, you have, like, cleaning the wound was probably not as thorough as it is now. So even if the tools are clean and the area that you're sitting on is clean, it's like you have bacteria and this dirt and stuff from just you being in the war.
Yeah, and I mean, he just went home after he was injured in the battle.
Right.
So, yes, he is recovering at home, which has good outlooks based on research, but it's not as sterile, and you might not be getting all of the care that you need, and especially Herkimer House sits in a big field, and there's like a lot of outdoor space, so I'm sure stuff was blowing in the windows, etc.
Yeah.
The home remained an important part of the community because, again, General Herkimer was a big deal in that space. Many people actually called it home over the years, and the Herkimer family remained there, but also soldiers and neighbors who sought refuge during battles resided there.
Is this is this a pretty big house?
It is a pretty big house. I haven't been inside, but I've seen the outside, and I believe it's 2 stories, but it's a very long home.
Gotcha.
And if you think about it, a lot of times in the 1700s, families didn't have a ton of space. So I think it wouldn't have been abnormal for many people to pack into, like, the rooms.
Right, yeah.
And also, I do know, based on the tours that I took there, that people would pitch tents in the surrounding areas around Herkimer House. And then they would either eat all together in the kitchen there or have, like, a campsite thing. But either way, it was kind of, like, the hub of activity for the area, especially for military personnel.
That's really cool that people used to camp out behind the house and like around it. And that makes sense, of course, like during the warm weather of New York, but it's just, that's not something I would have thought about.
Right, and it makes a lot of sense then why neighbors would seek refuge there, because if you do have all of these militiamen here, then that's probably the safest place to be. Additionally, it is a big brick house, so more defensible than some other ones. But I think just the sheer numbers would have made it a safe haven. In the 1800s, the property was intersected by the railroad as it developed, which brought even more people to visit Herkimer House. The Herkimer family burial ground is still located on site. You can visit the house, grounds, and a museum on the property. They offer tours Wednesday through Sunday from 10 to 4. Like I said, the Herkimer family was an institution in the community here because of the military record, but also because they did open their house. So people would come and pay respect to the family burial grounds, which is just an amazing concept to me.
Yeah, definitely. Especially if we're talking about like the railroad being built there and those people that are there paying tribute might be just strangers even, that's huge.
Visitors today can enjoy gardens, wooded trails, and reconstructed aspects of the home. But be wary, as visitors may also encounter a ghost or two.
Hi, I'm Hannah.
And I'm Matt Hannah.
We're Horror Hour with the Hannahs, a married couple who love digging into the guts of horror movies.
Literally and figuratively.
Whether it's new releases or cult classics, on our podcast we break down the scares, themes, and hidden messages with just the right amount of love and humor, with some occasional bickering.
So grab your popcorn and your emotional support blanket and join us Wednesdays
for a spooky good time with Horror Hour with the Hannahs.
Available wherever you listen to podcasts. Subscribe today, if you dare.
With a history dating back before the Constitution was signed, it's no wonder that this house may have some lingering ghosts. The most famous story of paranormal events here actually comes from a tour guide. The guide said that while they were in the house, a candlestick flew across the room, and they were actively giving a tour at this time.
Oh my gosh.
Since no one had touched the candlestick, they attributed it to a ghost.
Right.
And I honestly can't think of another explanation.
No. If no one's near the candlestick, assumedly, and then it gets flung across the room, you can't contribute that to anything, in my opinion, anything natural.
Right.
It can't be a draft, because that would just, knock the candle over? Maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it can't be the wind coming in from a window.
Right.
Nothing is, strong enough to throw something across the room.
Right. The only thing I could think of is if someone was playing a prank and had tied a string to the candlestick.
Yes.
But for a candlestick to fly across the room, especially when you consider what the candlestick is likely made of, because it's a historical home, it's probably a pure metal candlestick. So it's probably pretty hefty. I think there's no explanation other than a ghost. But I wonder what the motivation was behind moving the candlestick. Because I have a few theories. Were they just trying to get the attention of the tour guide? Were they trying to scare people? Was it just an accident?
Yeah.
For example? And who is the ghost? Is it the general? Someone from the family? A soldier? I think there's so many unknowns here.
Yes.
What do you think it could be?
I wish that I could say I saw it in a positive light, but I feel like throwing a candlestick across the room, if it was purposefully done, because you're right, it could have been an accident, has to be some kind of annoyance, or maybe just please get out of my room. If it's a spirit who is staying there and didn't live there, and a group of people came into the room, they might have been please get out, and threw a candlestick. Or if it's someone who is there more permanently, maybe the tour guide said something wrong.
That's a good idea.
Threw it across the room to be incorrect.
I did not consider that as a possibility, but that's a great point. That's not what happened.
Yeah.
I thought maybe since it was a big military house and people were kind of hiding out there, maybe they're strangers.
Oh, yeah.
And sort of going on the attack. But it could also be that it was factually incorrect. I really, really like that theory. It is commonly thought that the general does, in fact, haunt this house. And I think given that he died there and had a strong emotional attachment to the house, it makes sense. But what's interesting is he's said to be seen as either a shadow figure or a full-body apparition. And it's always interesting to me the variability of why these spirits are presenting in certain ways. Again, I think we need more data on this.
Yeah.
Who is seeing him as a shadow figure? Who is seeing him as full-body apparition? And something that's interesting to me in the paranormal community, I think this might be a controversial take. Some people believe that the shadow figure sightings are associated with negativity. I haven't found that to be true in the places that I've researched.
Yeah.
But I wonder if that could be the distinction between it. If he's kind of showing his full self as a full-body apparition to people he feels positively towards versus a shadow figure if he feels negatively. But what do you think could be behind the variability?
I'm thinking of it in terms not even of positivity and negativity, but wanting to be seen versus wanting to hide. So like maybe there are times of the day where he feels comfortable walking around the house just as his apparition, and other times he's like, no, I don't feel like dealing with this, and kind of moves around as a shadow figure. But I agree with you, like it's, in my opinion, it's got to be like a dichotomy of something.
Right. I think it's interesting what you say about not wanting to be seen, because I wonder if it's connected to the fact that there was so many people in the house when he lived there, because it sounds like people were in and out all the time, which might have been more normal in those times, but it sounds like they didn't get a ton of privacy. So maybe it's just increasing, building frustration of, I didn't get any privacy when I was alive. I'm not getting any privacy in my afterlife.
Yeah.
Please leave me alone.
Yeah.
That's interesting. There are also reports of auditory hauntings within the house. Visitors report ghostly voices, footsteps, and doors shutting. We know I am always skeptical of doors shutting on their own, especially in old buildings like this. Because in a building like this where it's just used as a museum, it's not used as something that people would go into every day, like repurposed into like a distillery or a brewery or something that we've talked about. Leaving it historical is of course beautiful, but I think lends itself more to issues with the structure of the house, and these doors could slam shut on their own.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I think also the report of footsteps, it depends to me on like what kind of footsteps. Is it just creaking? Because in that case, it being a brick house, could just be like it being a brick house with wooden floors could just be, it's a creaky house. But if it's like footsteps, and even the ghostly voices make sense to me, because of course there were so many people in and out throughout the house.
Right. I agree. I think I would need to know that the claims were of distinct footsteps in order for me to attribute that to the paranormal. Otherwise, you just can't be sure.
Right.
And I also think with creaking in general, not even in old buildings, houses do settle, structures in general do settle. And with wood, it can expand or contract based on humidity and heat. So you could have those noises even in a modern building.
Oh yeah, my house does that.
Exactly.
It's terrifying sometimes at night. I'm like, oh no, someone's in my house. And then I'm like, no, Erica, it's settling.
Well,
it's fine.
We don't know that it's not haunted.
That's true, actually. We have not brought an EMF reader into my house yet.
So the ghostly voices, like you said, that would make sense for a haunting. If they're occurring in there when someone's alone, there's no other source, okay, that could be paranormal. But I think the echo patterns of older homes, especially brick buildings, are different than how we would experience echoes in modern buildings, because we use typically drywall, versus there it's probably plaster or brick on the inside. And so the way that sounds echo off of those materials could be different.
Yeah.
And it might sound like ghostly voices to us. So I think in order for me to give that paranormal designation, it would require someone to be in there truly alone with no source of sound.
Yes.
I just think it's iffy. Auditory hauntings are always challenging for me.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting because I think this one, the footsteps and the door shutting and the voices make so much sense because of how many people were in and out. So it's like, I could see it as this makes sense to be a paranormal thing here, but there's so many things in the modern day now that we could just attribute these things to, that it could just be environmental too.
Yeah, and I think if they're in sync or maybe even in a specific sequence, I could give that more credence. If it's, okay, you hear footsteps and then you hear the door and then you hear the voices. Okay, that could be a spirit walking to a room, shutting the door, and having a conversation.
Yeah.
So if all three are happening together, I think it's more likely. Although, I don't know, now that I'm saying that, I'm going to backtrack a little bit, because with the expansion and contraction of wood, could that contribute to the door shutting and the creaking at the same time?
Fair.
So I think we need more information on that.
Absolutely. We also need to know what the voices are. I don't know if they're distinguishable, but like it would be so helpful to hear what they're saying too.
Yeah, everything that I read is that they're not distinguishable.
Okay.
So that makes it even more challenging.
Yeah.
Especially if you can't even identify young, old,
Oh, yeah.
or anything, you can't even begin to guess what it might be.
Right.
Visitors have also reported seeing a strange mist in the Herkimer family burial ground when looking out the windows of the house. So if you're standing on the lawn, you don't see it. You only see it from the house itself.
That is really interesting. I'm usually a pretty big skeptic of mist, to be honest with you. I think that's my like door slamming is is mist. I'm always like, especially if it's outside, but if you can only see it from the house, I don't even have an explanation for how that would make sense paranormally.
People say that the windows can be kind of like portals to the past or to the paranormal. That's why sometimes I think like the Winchester house, we see people through the windows specifically. What's interesting is the burial ground is unchanged from the 18th century and does hold many significant members of the family. But I've also visited the house and it's kind of in a valley because you have to walk down a hill to get to it.
Right.
So it could be environmental. I don't think that I know enough about the hot and cold front that creates a mist to say it. The only thing that makes me think it's paranormal is the fact that you're only seeing it from inside the house.
Yeah. Yes, it's all, I don't know. It's almost like when you're near, like if the spirits themselves are in the house, like if you're near them, then you're seeing the mist. And if you're away from them, you're not.
That's an interesting take. I was also thinking maybe it's the mist is meant to be family members visiting the grave sites. So maybe they're only appearing to people that are in the house. Like it's kind of like a family secret or something like that. Also could be a stretch because, again, it could be environmental. Ultimately, if it is a family member presenting as mist visiting the graves of people that have passed, I would say that it's likely not an intelligent haunting in that case because it's kind of seems to be like running on a loop and you're visiting the grave of dead people even though you're dead.
Right.
So to me, that seems like not an intelligent haunting. Not that that has anything to do with if the mist is paranormal or not. But if that's the case, I don't think that the mist ghost, I'll call it, I guess, knows that they're dead.
Yes, agreed.
Any final thoughts on the Herkimer House hauntings?
Actually, when we did start talking about it, it kind of did remind me of the Winchester house a little bit. It's like these big mansions kind of all seem, obviously they're in the same category, but you know what I'm saying? Like they kind of just remind me of each other as we're talking about it.
Yeah, it does in the way that things present. I think with houses, it's so common to have, you know, of course, the familial influence. It makes sense ghosts of the family are there.
Yeah.
But also the aspect of like family history that really contributes to it, like the family burial grounds and stuff. And of course, everywhere that has like wood is going to have creaking and stuff like that that can be debunked. But yeah, I agree. It definitely has like spooky haunted mansion vibes.
Yes, yeah.
And I think the historical significance also really adds a layer to it. You know, the fact that he was a big military man and well known in the community, there's a lot of energy surrounding the house, I think, from the community itself.
Yeah.
So it's not like it's just a family in isolation.
Right, yeah. And all those strangers coming through with the railroad. I mean, it was just like popping.
Yeah.
I don't know how else to describe it.
Yeah. And it's really cool because today they still have like the reconstructions of what some of the campsites would have looked like.
Oh, that's
so
cool.
When you really think about the sheer volume of people there, yeah, we know General Herkimer died in the house, but how many soldiers came back to campsites and also died there? And those ghosts could be lingering in the house as well.
Yeah.
So I think there's a lot more investigative work to be done here. But off the bat, there's some interesting hauntings. I really think digging into who threw the candlestick is a big mystery.
Yes.
It feels kind of like a game of Clue. It's like someone in the Herkimer house with the candlestick.
Right.
The Herkimer house does periodically offer ghost tours, and you can visit it just to see the house and the grounds. If you have visited, we'd love to hear your stories about Herkimer House. Email the team at hauntedus.com and include Haunted Atlas episode 25 in the subject, or find us on social media at hauntedus. Tune into our next episode to see where we drop the pin on our adventure across the Haunted US. This episode of Haunted Atlas was presented by Sarah Sweeney and Erica Barrett. It was researched by Sarah Sweeney, with production assistance by David Sweeney and music by Colleen Johnson. Our executive producer is Brandon Rugsey. Haunted Atlas is a production of Haunted US. Visit hauntedus.com for more information.